Put your hand in the air like this. Close your finger and make a fist. Let go your tongue, put it in the air. Wave it like you ain't care. Anytime you see them MP, do it for them to see. And if they ask you what that mean, tell them the dance you're doing is one time. One time. I want all you to take a chance. Show them the one time dance. One time. One time. Put your thumb up and then balance. Show them the one time dance. If you hardly don't see UMP, anytime you're checking me busy, Peter David always flying. Some people cannot see him. Gilbert we realize, like he had people dead in nights. Some of them are passing away. They forget to put them up there. Put it up your thumb. Put it up your thumb. If they're treating us like this, one thumb for qualis. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. When they're treating us like God, one thumb for Joe Gilbert. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If they treat us like labas, one thumb for the. Anytime they fret you, really get you vexed, make you feel you want to cut out your index. You just have to lead them, do their stupidness. Don't make it a problem, just go and practice. Then give them the one time if they wouldn't take it light. Showing everybody they cannot unite. And when you hear they talking about group of four, that is the time that you have to dance some more. They be having power hungry, like they want leadership quickly. The way they get in on a show, they can't wait for Tilly to go. They're so embarrassing, and they petty quarreling, fretting you to the max. The dance don't help you relax. All in from the media, they fussing one another. The stupidness reminding we of October 1983. One time. If they wouldn't pull up their pants, show them the one time dance. One time. Put your thumb up and then balance. Show them the one time dance. If you find the fat is feeling, only IMF they're studying. They may be country in deep shit, so they're trying to fix it, but they make that mistake before. 92, 93 and 4, MMP always dug in and giving them the rubbish to clean. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If they wouldn't understand, one thumb for Tillman. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If you want to push it up, one thumb for Nazimbok. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If they wouldn't stop this thing, one thumb for the skin. They could try the ocean, nobody would know. Their public relation is so bloody poor. Wouldn't tell people nothing, wouldn't blow their trumpet, and that is enough to get a man upset. One tongue to give them if you find they lapsing. All kind of NNP they high up in thing, trying their best to make them unpopular. Look what they do with the old people water. Them fellas supposed to be bright, yeah, they can see the light. What I am saying in a sense, education not common sense. You get in a problem when you see traitors around them, and you still do not know why the hell they don't make them go. Anything what they say, they leaking it out right away before they make a decision. If they on Alan Campbell program, one time, time to take them out of their trance. Show them the one time dance. One time, put your thumb up and then balance. Show them the one time dance. If you find a hole in secret, they would never expose it. What about the call center? They ain't giving no answer. Before the election was talk about corruption. Now the election done, it's like all the corruption gone. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If you won't get up and get one thumb for Dennis left. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. If you won't reconsider, one thumb for Peter. Put up your thumb. Put up your thumb. Once they're thinking back to front, one thumb. And you feeling better now? I tell you, you will feel better. This therapy walking, you know. Up there. getting rid of we ways, yes. We dance for all our leaders, yes. So who does matter be party? I'll tell you it. Shout this like them know where we represent. Who's the body's passing? 4-7. Them no crazy like where. Cause we from up in mountain we die. And when it comes to fighting we don't play. We not leaving this land till we say. Promoter and police can't move away. I say we don't side it up whenever my team link up. Cause we bring the vibes, we bring the life. Yes, we bring everything. Session can bad with us, we the only friends energy. Ask anybody who knows man of the party. I'll tell you it. Don't it let them know where we represent. Who's the body's passing? Some no crazy like where. Hey. Up in all thing we in there. And when it comes to 13, we not leaving this land till we say. Promoter and police can't move away. Aye. We turn these vibes up. Aye, aye, aye. Party like a holiday. Anywhere we there. That is so we there. So we still. So who does matter be party? I'll tell you it. Don't it like them nowhere. We represent. Who's the body's passing? Oh yeah. Them no crazy like where. Yeah. Up in mountain we die. And when it comes to fighting, we not leaving this land till we say. Promoter and police. That's why. Still we can't get rid of we ways. No, we can't get rid of we ways. I say, no, we can't get rid of we ways. No way. So we can't get rid of we ways. That's why. So we there. So who does man of the party? I'll tell you it. Shout this like them know where we represent. Who's the body's passing? Them no crazy like where. Hey. Up in all thing we die. And when it comes to fighting, we not leaving this land till we say. Promoter and police. So, no, we can't get rid of we ways. No, we can't get rid of we ways. I say, no, we can't get rid of we ways. Grenada, Carriacou, and Pity Matnick, we can't get rid of we ways. I say, no, we can't get rid of we ways. No, we can't get rid of we ways. What? No way. Still we can't get rid of we ways. No way. No, we can't get rid of we ways. No way. Still we can't get rid of we ways. Still we can't get rid of we ways. No, we can't get rid of we ways. Still we can't get rid of we ways. No way. No, we can't get rid of we ways. No way. No, we can't get rid of we ways. No way. Still we can't get rid of we ways. Lovely.
Honest with you. I feel extremely emotional standing here right now because this is a topic I've thought long and hard about how to bring it up, how to say it in a way that really captures what I feel deep in my spirit, because this This is personal. On my many walks through the villages of St. David's, there's a scene I see far too often. Our young men sitting around doing nothing. You'll pass one corner and there's a group with a spliff. I ask them sometimes what it is and they would say a roach. Another corner, there's the rum and the gambling. But let me tell you something. I don't believe that's who they are. These young men are not idle by choice. That's my belief. They're not lazy. They're just lost. And as a mother of 3 sons, that reality pierces me. It's painful because I know how delicate the journey is from boy to man. And I know what it feels like to worry, really worry about the future of your children or our children. Recently, I've been getting more and more calls from young men in the community. And they don't call me asking for money or handouts. They say, "Miss, come see us now." And when I do, I listen. And I hear the same thing every time. You know, they say to me, "Miss, I have big dreams, but no support. I have ideas, but no one to guide me. I don't want to live like this, but I don't know how to change it." We've allowed too many of our boys to grow up in homes with no fathers, in homes with no structure, no discipline, and no love. Boys are being told, "Be a man," before they even understand what that means. They're not allowed to cry. They're not allowed to break. So they just bottle up inside and break in silence. And the system, it leaves no room for them unless they're academic. If they struggle in school, they're dismissed, like they're not worth investing in. Where are the training programs? Where are the second chances for boys who don't fit that mold? You know, one young man said to me, "Miss, you know, the politicians, all they come and give us is a 8 of rum and a beer and lies. They use us for the votes, then they disappear. Phone calls become unanswered. Their faces turn like statue and promises vanish." That is what many of them have come to expect. Betrayal. But we can't let that be the end of their story. We need real solutions, not speeches. And here today I'm doing a speech because I have to. They don't need handshakes and false promises. We need counseling programs, mentorship, skills training, real investment in their minds and their hearts. These young men need to hear that they matter, that they are loved, that it is okay to cry, because we are at a risk of raising a generation of broken, bitter, and disconnected men. And I don't believe that we can afford that. So I say today, not just as a mother, but as someone who cares deeply about our country and our community, we must act. We must rebuild what's been broken. We must reach these young men where they are and remind them that they are not alone. They are not the problem. They are the potential. And it's time we prove to them that we see it and we see them.
My grandfather walked these roads. He lived here all his life. My father did too. He went to school here, worked here. I grew up hearing St. Andrews Southwest stories around our table. Stories of St. Giles School, Munich, Union, Mount Carmel, cricket. And now, It's me, walking the same path, listening, laughing, learning, meeting family, and feeling roots that run really deep. I wasn't born here, but I've never felt more at home. I'm literally 7 minutes away from Munich. The spirit of St. Andrew Southwest is something you don't just see, you feel it. It's in the warm greetings, the proud stories, the elder who holds your hand and says, "Keep going, child." It's in the dog named Barbecue. Yes, really, I met a dog named Barbecue. I don't know if it's pork or chicken. It's the uncle on the street who jokes like he's known you forever, and the youth with bright eyes and big dreams. This isn't just politics. This is personal. Thank you, St. Andrew Southwest, for letting me walk this road with you. It's the honor of my life.
I was born to parents Rodney Olivier from Moncraven in St. Patrick's and Maria Scott Nee Olivier from Mardi Gras in St. George's. I was born in 1970, June 27, 1970. One of the best days God ever created. And so initially, yes, at birth was in Mardi Gras, and then shortly after that, maybe a couple months after, my dad moved my mom to Fontenoy, where he had moved from St. Patrick. And I grew up until about 4 years in a place called the Byway in Fontenoy, up the Byway, that steep hill going up there. And after about 4.5 years, my parents purchased a house in Grand Mall, and we moved to Grand Mall. So I grew up between Fontenoy and Grand Mall until around the age 19 when I migrated. Growing up in Fontenoy, Grand Mall area was lots of fun. A lot of influential people that had a direct impact on my life, but none more so than my dad. My dad, I think, had the biggest impact on my life overall. He was a very loving man, a very caring man, always looked out for people in the village, and I think that's where I got my thing from, seeing my dad do it and taking care of people. I went to Heinze School in St. George's, passed common entrance in 1982, and started at the Grenada Boys Secondary School. I mean, the GBSS is near and dear to my heart because I think I owe most of what I am today in this life to my formal education at the Grenada Boys Secondary School under the tutelage of Mr. Victor Ashby. And while Mr. Victor Ashby was the principal, there were a number of teachers that played a very impactful role in my life also. We have Miss Auntie Lord, who was my maths teacher, and to this day, 40 years later, I'm giving away my age. 40 years later, I still call her Miss Lord. So that goes to show you. We had a great time at the GBSS learning. I went to school with the likes of Timothy Antoine and Nisona Whiteman and Trevor David and Stephen Miller and some great friendship, holding good. And we had a yearning to learn, and we challenged each other, so that was great. Heinze was awesome. A little boy growing up in the town, and going to school in the town rather, and you get into experience certain things. You're roaming all over the place, Scott Street, St. Jude Street, Carriacou. So that was great. And on top of that now, I consider myself a city boy because I went to Market Hill Pentecostal Church, and I used to have to walk from Fontenoy and Grand Mall to Market Hill Pentecostal Church every Sunday until the age 16. I'll give you, later on I'll tell you what happened when I turned age 16, and that Sunday when I decided not to go to Market Hill Pentecostal Church. Let me tell you now. So on my 16th birthday, that Sunday immediately after, I tell my mom, well, I'm not going to church today. And she's like, why? I'm like, well, I'm 16 years old and you can't make me go. I don't know, somehow I thought being 16 made you a man. And so I decided not to go to church that Sunday, and I went into the pasture to play soccer. And she left for church at maybe around 8:30. and I left the house maybe about 9 and go to the pasture with the other village boys. And by 9:30, I broke my foot, and so had to be taken to the hospital. And they had to go in the church to to get her to come to the hospital because, of course, I'm a child. They won't look at me without parents. Yeah, and she did ring my ears and probably slapped me in the hospital. But it was good. At the GBSS, Mr. Ashby was very, very instrumental in pushing us. There was a few of us that he pushed, and he recognized that maybe there was something in us. And he wanted us to do maths and English in Form 3, believe it or not. And I believe it was Timothy's mother, Miss Antoine, who was one of my teachers in Heinz School, may her soul rest in peace, Miss Ursula Antoine, that talked Mr. Ashby into not letting us do maths and English in Form 3 because she said we're still young and we have, our brains still need some development. But we did do the maths and English in Form 4. When we got to Form 4 in GBSS, we did maths and English, and we were very, very successful. I think it was one of the earliest where, students were encouraged to do a couple subjects in Form 4, and so we were able to get maths and English out of the way in Form 4. And maybe that was a sort of indication that, hey, might be some great things for this group to come. And I must say, quite a few of us went on to do well. And as the saying goes, raise we parents' nose. We raise our parents' nose. But I was one of 12 on my dad's side. My first brother, my biggest brother, I lost him when I was about 3 years old. He was about 12 or 13 years at the time. He got electrocuted up the byway, and so he died. So I didn't grow up with the luxury of having, that big brother. But my dad had 12 kids. He had 6 before he met my mom, married my mom, and gave my mom 6. And my mom had 1 before, so my mom had 7 of us all together. So always in a big family. And I look back now and I commend my parents for the struggles that they had to go through. Both of them not attending secondary school. As a matter of fact, my dad was like the first in his family. So back in the days, the firstborn always had to kind of leave school early. So I think he left school maybe around standard 3. And he always talked about the Royal Reader. And even though my dad left in standard 3, I always wondered how he helped me with maths. Because he didn't have that formal education. And even when I entered the GBSS and I was having problems, sometimes my dad was able to help me. And my mom must have left school around standard 4, standard 5, same thing. But at one time, 7 of us was in high school together. Yeah, you probably guess we all like 1 year apart. we all like 1 year apart. I think maybe one of I think me and my brother is more like 11 months apart or so.
So these young men have me walking through the bush. And I don't know the last time I walked through all this bush, and I lots of sweating. It's only going to be a short cut, but it's a long short cut. And I wasn't dressed for bush, but they wanted to show me some stuff.
And a good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Nick once again. It is time for Talking Points. Yeah, they catch me out. They catch me there. Yes, indeed. Once again, it's time for Talking Points. My name is Sheldon Scott. I'll be here with you up until the 10 o'clock hour. And as you may have noticed a short while ago, I should be speaking with Senator the Honorable Norland Cox. In a short while, Deputy Political Leader of the New National Party. He will be joining us in a bit. He will be joining us in a bit. But in the interim, we're just going to have our, give you the opportunity to call and all of that until we're ready to have Senator Cox on with us. You know, today, though, before Senator Cox joins us, today, I was looking at the Assembly of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. Many of you may know, some may not know, but every 2 years you have the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States. They get together and they have this meeting where the prime ministers of all the OECS territories together with they would bring sometimes their foreign minister or they bring another senior minister plus the opposition. They all come together and they have like a OECS parliament sitting. So that took place today. I was looking at it only to realize that our prime minister was missing. Yeah, I saw Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, the prime minister of St. Vincent, which is where I believe the meeting took place. I saw the prime minister of Dominica. The man that say he come in and do thing in Grenada, but can't even handle your own country. Yeah, we saw the prime minister of Dominica. I saw the premier of Anguilla. I saw the prime minister of St. Kitts and Nevis. I saw the prime minister of St. Lucia. You saw nearly all the prime ministers. I think only 2 others were missing. But the prime minister of Grenada was missing. And then when you take a look at Nolene and the work that she has been doing, you get to realize why Grenada's prime minister probably was missing. Yeah, the man afraid, but man, he ain't leaving and go nowhere at all. He is not taking that chance and step outside for any length of time. He seems to be quite afraid to step out. Yeah. So as you realize, we slightly changed the format of the program. When we start now, we're going to play some of the different videos and those sort of things that you've been seeing, and so to let you get an insight into what is taking place. To let you get an insight. Let me just mute that. Nice. Yeah, so that you can get an insight to what is taking place with the New National Party and some of the caretakers in different constituencies. You just got a lot of insight there into Mr. Nimrod Oliver. Good night to you, Mr. Nimrod Oliver. Hope you're having a fabulous night tonight. You also got quite a bit of insight in relation to Mrs. Nolene Thompson. Yeah, because you saw her there speaking about, giving her thoughts in relation to different issues. And Nolene, like, you had to start to move with a change of clothes inside the vehicle. That's what you had to do. Yeah? Move with a change of clothes inside the vehicle. So when they stop you and tell you they want to bring you on the farm, they want to show you this piece of road, they want to show you that hillside, and you have to pass through the bush, that you have some clothes that you could just throw on quick and you could run through the bush and thing. Yeah? So you got to start to move. Well, in fact, everybody start to move with a change of clothes inside the vehicle. Eh? Yeah, move with a boots and thing. Yeah, move with thing in the vehicle, man. In case they stop you and they say they want you to see this, they want you to see that, that you have the equipment ready to be able to do that. I'm not sure what's going on with my Facebook here, but I can't seem to view the Facebook there. Let me see if I'm seeing it over here. And I want to say a special good night to all of you joining us via the Facebook. All of you joining us via the... No, Landon Jane. Deacon didn't go anywhere. Deacon was here. Yeah, Deacon was here. In fact, he was just on his program just about an hour and a half or so ago. He was on his program. So he's here. He's in Grenada. He took live calls, etc. So he's here. We'll talk about that one tomorrow. Yes, indeed, he's here. Strange enough, though, I saw something floating around with some statements by Mr. Ron Redhead. Ron again. I ain't even getting into heat tonight. Now, Ron Redhead again. At least if you're speaking there, put on a tie and them kind of thing now, man. Make sense. You understand? At least if you're going in them kind of thing there, brother, make sense. Put on a tie and thing, fix up yourself properly, them kind of scene day. But the man even do them kind of thing. And I think we may have been joined by Senator Cox. And let me just make sure if I'm hearing him. Good night to you, Senator Cox. Are you hearing us?
Good night.
Oh, it's okay. Nice, man. You're hearing us there, man. You're on like, how Jenny does say it, you're on like boiled corn.
Try.
Let me just bring you up so the viewers will be able to see you as well. Let me just fix one thing here before I do that, and bring you up so that the viewers will be able to see you fully, because you know they like to see when you're smiling and things. They say they love to see when the Carriacou man smile. That's what they say. How have things been going with you, my brother?
First of all, let me say a pleasant good night to you, Sheldon, and of course, the Talking Points family and persons who are listening to the program. And maybe somebody might be new on tonight for the first time. I want to say good night to them as well. We have been going okay. We're coping as best as we can. As you know, it's a new normal for Carriacou and Pittimatnik as regards to the whole recovery. But I think for the most part, we have been trying to our best to recover as best as we can, given the circumstances and all the challenges, what has been working, what has not been working. So we have been coping.
Pretty soon, just in about roughly 2 weeks, it will be exactly 1 year since the passage of Hurricane Beryl. In fact, the first breezes would have been probably making up themselves off the African coast right now to start moving across the Atlantic to Grenada. I myself have been hearing a lot of stories. I could tell you, Senator Cox, I heard some stories that they break my heart. Not just about Carriacou, but about Pittimatnik as well, and St. Patrick. I heard from one lady in St. Patrick today. Man, the situation is, imagine your house was damaged in Beryl, you were promised a new house, and since last year, the structure was broken down. You're renting, you're not working, you're renting, you have to hustle every now and again to see how you make money to do that. And all you're getting is promises that your house would be rebuilt, and several people in St. Patrick, same situation. It wasn't one of them, several of them. What is taking place in Carriacou? What is taking place in Pittimatnik? And in fact, you know what? Let's start with Pittimatnik tonight. I want to big up the people of Pittimatnik. Let's start with Pittimatnik tonight. I think they always get left for last. Let's start with them.
Well, you know, just so to start on a lighter note, you know, at some point in time, Pittimatnik was always referenced first. You know, so on a light note, certainly that is not the case now.
You changed now.
Yeah. However, you know, on a serious note, housing is the frontal issue for Pittimatnikans as well as Carriacouans. It's the biggest issue facing our people, my people, at this point in time. It's one that seems to be that will be there for some time based on what has happened or what has not happened. So housing is the key issue. We have the rainy season pending, coming on stream. We start receiving some rains, and that is creating some challenge, some fears, some concerns for persons who are certainly not in any adequate housing at the moment. The government, in its response to this housing crisis, did make pronouncements doing prefab housing, doing better build back housing. And so I know a lot of persons would have had their hopes up in terms of being able to benefit from that, and rightly so, which they deserve. You know, it's a crisis, and in crisis, that transcend political parties, political preferences, political boundaries. And as a small community as Carriacou and Pittimatnik, we have to come together in situations like this. And I think this situation is really define true leadership and community spirit. And as such, I think this was a clear opportunity for that to happen. but I believe that we're far from that. As regards to Pidimantlik, I visited Pidimantlik as recent as Sunday, Father's Day. I had an opportunity to visit a few persons, few residents. Also pledged some support, some of my own personal support as well in some areas where I believe that I could have helped because the situation in Pidimantlik is somewhat even dire than Carriacou. And persons who are listening may not believe it, may not believe what I'm going to say, is that we are 2 weeks or so from a year out of Hurricane Beryl, and not one single home, be it prefab or a better build back, has been delivered to the people of Pidimantlik from the government. I noticed there have been some small prefab houses, some small modular houses, and I had inquired, just a few in Pidimantlik, maybe about 5 to 6 thereabout. I've inquired about those, and those were through, I think, some ERTs, a private initiative. Some private person would have donated those through somebody in Pidimantlik, and they would have selected persons who have lost their houses and given them those small units, small self-contained units. They're just probably about 12 by 8, not really big, but they're not tents, but they're solid. They're like kind of fiberglass or plastic type housing, so they can suffice. They're very quite comfortable in terms of sheltering from the rain. But as regards to the government initiative, I know that they have started working. They are working on, I think, about 5 build back better houses. And in honest, I must say that they have made an attempt. But to this date, not a single Pidimantlikian has had the opportunity to say that they have a house or something delivered, completed, that they can say, look, this is something finished and something complete. I know oftentimes when I make statements, things happen very quickly thereafter. So I would not be surprised that between now and the 4th of July, a house in Pidimantlik might finish. So maybe I should have come on a little bit sooner to help speed up the process in Pidimantlik. But all this said, the people of Pidimantlik really and truly deserve better. They deserve much better than what they have been meted out to them. So, I mean, it's really heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking. I was there with a couple of persons who saw Pidimantlik for the first time, and they just couldn't believe that was the situation. And they were making comments to the fact that persons may believe, based on how the pronouncements from the government, that Pidimantlik is all good and well. But Sheldon, after 1 year, not one single home, be it a prefab or a constructed home, has been delivered to any resident of Pidimantlik, and that is the fact. That is what we are facing. They may have had challenges, but the fact remains that not a single home has been delivered as yet after 1 year. And I don't know, I just don't know what to say. It's really heartbreaking. It's really heartbreaking. On top of that, you have a number of fishermen, 30 plus fishermen from Pidimantlik. So, and let me put it in context. Pidimantlik livelihood is fishing and trade. If anybody who should be treated first in terms of relief support should be Pidimantlikans who are bona fide fishermen, because that is their livelihood. That is what they do. And so to have 30 or 40 fishermen or more from Pidimantlik not receiving any relief support who sustained damages from the hurricane I believe is really unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I could see you missing 5 or 6, whatever the case may be, but that quantity, it means that something really would have gone wrong. And I mean, I listened to the fishermen cry even while I was there on Sunday, and it's just really heartbreaking in what they have to go through. Persons indicate to me that look, they had to make sacrifices to repair the boat themselves because that is a livelihood so that they can sustain their families. Forgo work monies that they would have used for the house because remember the boat damage, the house damage, and so they would have forgone funds that they would have used for the house, knowing that there was an expectation to receive support for the boat immediately and to get the livelihood back up. So the repairs on the house is going to take a much longer time because those monies they could have used it directly, some of the savings on the house to kind of get themselves back in a more comfortable situation. They now had to channel those funds towards repairing the boats and to getting back their livelihood going. So that is the situation from Pitimatlik. I mean, I'm not going to even to talk about the government buildings in Pitimatlik. And so, because for me, the homes of people is much more important than the government institutions. If people are not comfortable, they're not going to function. It's going to be a challenge and issue for persons. And we're going right back again to the same issue that I raised, the issue of traverse, not having a proper place to dock for persons to get off, except in Hillsborough. That's from the windward end. There was some announcement that the jetty in windward is going to start very soon. I think some piles came on island. I saw some trucks, new trucks. I saw it on the port. They claimed that was for the jetty, the construction of the jetty. As it stands now, we do not know who is the contractor, who received the contract. They say the contract was signed. No announcement was made about the contractor for that jetty. No announcement was made of the duration of the project. Those are standard things. No announcement was made on the cost of the project. Those are standard things for infrastructure that you will announce to the public. That look, we have signed a contract with a contractor to build this facility, jetty, building whatsoever. This is the cost of the construction. This is the duration of the construction. And this is the contractor who has been awarded the contract. So those are the things that are missing. We haven't heard that. There is some secrecy or somewhat in that regard. I think just recently there was a turning ceremony in Pitimatlik for the renovation or the rebuilding of the health center. And if my memory serves me right, there was no announcement also of the contractor, although there was a turning ceremony. Normally you would hear who is the contractor. I mean, you must recall that is a common feature of turning ceremonies. Who is the contractor, the cost of the project, some features of the project.
Contractor is usually there. The contractor is usually there at the turning.
So features of the project, who is going to, how much a project is going to cost, how long it's going to take, and when it's going to start. So things like that have been missing. And I'm very, and I could even go further in to say, hey, look, we have not heard any tendering process for those projects at all. We haven't seen anything publicly. And I'm still not even giving them much flack on that, because we know that we're in a hurricane situation, recovery situation. And if for some reason you want to expedite, based on the procurement legislation, you want to expedite, that's fine. But at least if you choose a contractor, months now, since December, we have been hearing that a contract has been issued. But for some reason, nobody is saying who is the contractor. Everybody seems to be very mute on who the contractor is. And so I am very, very, very concerned or very... why don't you want to say who the contractor is? Or people are saying, you could hire to buy land, but you can't hire to work it. So at least when the work starts, we must know who is the contractor. So why not say who the contractor is? So that is where we are with that aspect of it. Also, I wanted to raise the issue of the housing and how it is impacting persons, not just in Piedmont, but in Carriacou. We have a number of senior citizens who have lost their home and they are still in homes on the mainland. And of course, they want to come back home. We haven't heard anything about that. What's the plan for getting our seniors back? Are they going to be immersed in the senior citizens' home? Are we going to build homes for them? So those are the key
Senator
issues.
Cox, I seem to have remembered sometime within the last 6 months or so statements being made along the lines that there were no longer any seniors from Carriacou on the mainland, that they were brought back to Carriacou. So you're saying that's not so? That's not the situation?
No, some of the residents are still here on the mainland. They're still on the mainland, and they're not. They have not figured out how they're going to address their situation, and we'll speak more about that. And in terms of the prioritizing, because I know for a fact, I could know for a fact that somebody who was given a Build Back Better to put on their property, they have refused, not Build Back Better, sorry, but a prefab. They have refused it. They have refused to occupy it. And I know that one or two of the residents within the very said community could have utilized that prefab home from the hands that serve, from the Trinidad company.
So I mean, no.
And that prefab house is sitting there because the person refused to go in it for whatever one reason or the other. They are not using it, and what we're hearing is that they want something better. They want to build back better. They want something better. But the question is, if you know that you want something better, why take the house, put it on your personal property, and somebody else could have benefited from it, who have used for it?
No, is it a case that they just went and they put it, they say we bring in something, they bring it and they put it, and the person didn't take the opportunity to view it before, to check it out, to make sure, hey, this I like this, I want one of these? Or is it a situation they say bring the thing, and after they bring it and they set it up and everything and they finish, then they decide, I don't think I want that, I want one of the next one?
Well, that is what happened. And you know what is even sad? The person who received that prefab house never had a house before.
My goodness.
Never own a home. But I mean, I don't have an issue with somebody who didn't have a home and receive a home. I really don't have an issue. Honestly, Sheldon. I don't. Because there well might be somebody who in need of a home, all right, prior to the hurricane, and they need a home. I don't have an issue with that. But if they have gone out of their way to give you a prefab house, yeah, and there are other persons who lost homes and they didn't get an opportunity, and you just don't want it, and so it begs to question the structure, the system that has been employed for the recovery in terms of the housing. That is questionable, and I am very, very certain that the system that has been employed is poor, it's not functioning, it's not working, it has failed, and if they don't retract, it will only fail more. It will have more issues, and we'll get more into that in terms of the failure of the recovery in terms of the housing for Carriacouans and Piedmontans.
Well, as I said to you a bit earlier, I have been speaking to several persons in Carriacou for the last few days. And, well, everybody knows my connection to Carriacou. So I've been speaking to several people, not necessarily my family members, but I've been speaking to a lot of folks that I know in Carriacou. In fact, I had to actually send funds to somebody in Carriacou today because they found themselves in a situation, unemployed, child to see after, house gone, and I found myself in a situation actually having to send up something to them in Carriacou today. So its situation is still bad for a lot of folks there. I'm hearing of what you just mentioned, situations where people have had no house before. And you're talking in some instances about not a youngster or a person, a middle-aged person or so with several children, but people that might not even have children and getting houses. I'm hearing of situations of people who have received materials twice and as much as 3 times. I'm hearing situations of people who have received material and sold that material. I'm hearing situations of contractors on both the prefab and Build Back Better who have not been paid, and as such the entire process has been stalled. I have heard up to when I was checking today, I don't know if anything happened this afternoon, but last week Tuesday we heard the Prime Minister saying that checks would be ready by Friday of last week for the hardware stores to restart the distribution of building materials. Up to when I checked today with my sources in Carriacou, that has not restarted. At least with the people that they check, it has not been restarted. And in one instance, it may, even if paid off, it may not restart. So I'm hearing all of these stories coming out. I've heard of contractors that received money and didn't build a house. They got the money to do it, but they didn't build a house. So I'm hearing all of these stories. As someone who is in Carriacou, what have you been hearing? What have you been seeing? I ain't called name in Paparang, but what have you been hearing? What have you been seeing?
Well, let me take this, and then we dissect it, and then we approach it, deal it surgically. And let's start first with the prefab houses. So we had the first set of prefab houses, 27 of those that was given to the people of Carriacou and the government of Grenada, from the hands that serve an NGO in Trinidad. And I must say, and I continue to register those houses, we welcome them. Those houses, first of all, were placed in proximity of the landfill, which I totally detest. I didn't support that, because there's ample land in Dumfries which those houses could have placed differently. So that's the first thing. I also reiterated the fact that there was a clear opportunity for about 4 or 5 of those houses to be given to persons in Piti Matnik who are in urgent need of housing, who have lost their house. I firmly believe that we could have found a way to make that happen for Piti Matnik, and that was a missed opportunity. So that is the first set. The second set of houses was the prefab house. The second set of prefab houses from Happy Homes. There was a lot of announcements, a lot of talk about 200 houses, homes being purchased by the government for the people of Carriacou and Piti Matnik. I think as it stands now, only 3 or 4 of those houses have actually been erected in Dumfries, even closer to the landfill. I mean, closer in terms like within about 100 feet away from the landfill. That tell you how close it is. And those homes are not complete. Added to that, what we found out is that persons who worked in those homes have not received any pay. Service providers who work there, they didn't receive any money. That is the reports that are meeting us. And so those 3 or 4 homes are just sitting there. As recent as a couple weeks ago, there have been no electricity to those prefab houses in that area. I can't say between then and now if electricity was supplied to those homes. So that is for the prefab. We haven't heard anything. I did ask about the 200 homes. I haven't heard anything about those homes. It appears that that project has died a natural death. It appears so. I could be wrong. I stand corrected. But persons don't seem to be hopeful that those other 190-something homes are going to come. Then we have the Build Back Better. The Build Back Better, to this date, probably about 12, I think, of those homes have been delivered. I could be wrong, give or take, thereabout. That is what I recall, based on government announcement. About 12 of those homes have been handed over. Now, the challenge that we are facing now, Sheldon, is that as of today, all hardware, service providers and stores have ceased the distribution of material for persons. Now, what does that mean? What is actually happening? And then we dissect into that. There are a number of persons who have received approval for $15,000 of water material, and they have not drawn down anything from that. Trying to draw down in the last week or two, they receive information indicating that nothing has been given out from the major hardware stores. There are some persons who have drawn down some of the materials, and they cannot access that. Additionally, VAT has been reinstated, so $15,000 water material may come down to around 12,000 plus thereabout, give or take. So persons are receiving less now based on what the situation is with VAT. We are approaching the rainy season, and
we in the rainy season.
We're in the rainy season.
We getting it.
And so, really and truly, Sheldon, and that is what is heartbreaking for me. This is not the time for the program to be ceased. So, what I would suggest to the government is that if it's a situation of cash flow, which it appears to be, based on reports that the hardware stores have ceased the distribution of material because lack of payment thereof on behalf of the government for materials already given out. And we are not talking about small sums. It's in the millions from reports. Additionally, you have a situation, as I indicate, where some persons have now gathered themselves together in terms of additional resources to start doing work on the house, and only to be faced with no material, program close. On top of that, the majority of the Build Back Better houses that are currently under construction, months, and I'm quite certain more than 2 or 3 fortnights, workers have not received pay for work done. And it could be more than a month. In some cases, it could be as much as 2 months. Some of the projects that are ongoing, but the contractors themselves are using their own resources to push the project along with the hope that they will get a compensation from government. So that is the situation at hand. What I would really hope that the government can do, whenever you indicated that they would have paid money by Friday, whenever they settle with the hardware stores, I think it will be imperative for them to work with the hardware stores to honor all the persons who have already been pre-approved, and have not drawn down on the materials, give them an opportunity to get the materials. And the question of new applicants, they may need to at least hold out on that for now. But for persons who have received their approvals and with the hope of getting that material and ready to start doing their work, now to tell them that the program is closed, no materials have been issued, it comes as if they never receive any support. And so I am saying that is something that the government can consider working closely with the hardware stores. That would be my recommendation, because if it's a situation of the government having a cash flow issue, but then that is an approach that I would recommend that they take.
Let me
Yes,
here though, that even today, and I do have the clip, but all the system is set up, I can't play a clip while I have you on. But I could play the clip where the present Minister of Housing, that's Senator the Honorable Gloria Thomas, or Sister Glo as she's called, was on the NDC Heartbeat program at the beginning of this month, where she stated clearly that the burial support programs will all be ended at the end of July. And that basically if you get your Build Back Better house, etc., your prefab, whatever, before that, you're all well and good. But they are going to be returning to the housing program and moving away from MIT being involved in the housing programs in Carriacou as of the end of July, which means that the 190 houses have to be built between now and the end of July to qualify for Build Back Better. Other than that, people are going to have to find the monies to pay while others have gotten it free. And if it even continues, because again, as you've mentioned, there's a problem with the contractors, and that was one of the things I heard today, that the contractors have not been paid. In many instances, you have some contractors who have been paid to do houses and have basically quote unquote absconded. They just didn't do it. They've been paid to build that house already and they haven't built it. Sometimes it may be because they can't access material. Other times maybe other reasons, but the house has not been built. So we're hearing all of that. How do the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique emotionally, psychologically, etc., deal with this issue at this point in time? You're hearing that the clock is ticking. It is now the 17th of June. The programs all close, according to the minister, Senator Gloria Thomas, on the NDC Heartbeat program earlier this month. The programs closed. Her words were along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing here, you can't continue the recovery process forever. At some point, you have to let people get on with it on their own. And just paraphrasing here. So that means that come the end of July, who ain't get and who get? How do you respond?
You know, I could probably go further. And you know, one of the things I like about Senator Gloria Thomas is that she speaks, you know, clearly and honestly about what is before her. And that is one of the things I could say about her. She doesn't have an appetite for meandering, you know, certain things regarding her ministry. I could safely say that about her. I know her to some extent, and we do have our own conversations whenever we meet, and that is one of the things about her. She speaks whatever is before her, and sometimes she get knocked for doing so.
Tell her the house is open, and if she want to come over, I mean, we could make a little space for her, and if she want to come. Sister Glo, if you find it,
we are welcome. We are welcoming party. We are welcoming party, of course.
I will open the door for her. I ain't mind, and I know you will stand on the other side.
Yeah, and she did make the point, I guess, as much when she sat with her staff or senior management staff and discussing things, and maybe some directive from the cabinet as well. She may have received some directive from the cabinet regarding, you know, how do we transition from recovery into back to normalcy. But I think that announcement was a bit premature, given where we are in terms of the recovery process in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. As recently as last night, Sheldon, I went to the PT. I couldn't put up some of the pictures for persons to see because I don't want persons to claim that I just making up stuff. Just last night.
At the end, I'll put up the pictures and send it over.
Last night, I actually went and visit a home of someone who has vision challenges, and they have somebody staying with them, taking care of them, a family member. And you know, when I got there and I walked in, because, you know, you can't see, and I spoke. You know, I said, "No, that's you." You know, you recognize my voice. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I said, "Yes." You know, I said, "I come to check on you and see how you're doing and everything." And, you know, to see where they are living, Sheldon, I mean, it's really heartbreaking. Yeah, so last night self, I have two tarpaulins, 20 by 30 tarpaulins that I have for myself, and so I had it done at my business in Haverville, and so I drove to Haverville last night, and took one of those tarpaulins and brought it back for them because they are wetting. I mean, took a picture. You actually seen outside from where they're actually sleeping, and I don't know. And I mean, I've seen so much other persons, where they are living. Certainly, we cannot take not even a tropical storm. We cannot at this point in time because we are going to have a serious reversal. We're going to have a serious issue on our hand, and we are praying and we are asking persons to pray that any significant or major weather stay away from our shores, at least for this hurricane season. It's really, really, really heartbreaking, Sheldon. It's really heartbreaking, and it's not taking away anything from persons who were able to get a house, the persons who were able to get material. We're not taking anything away from that. All those initiatives are welcome. We welcome them. I welcome them, honestly, Sheldon. But if after a year, they just deliver like 10 or 12 Build Back Better houses, it means that we have to do better. We just have to do better than that. The response needs to be better. And after receiving $118 million from the CRIF, plus other millions of dollars from other donors, and we have an issue where hardware stores have not been paid, the question beggars to, where these funds have gone. And we'll talk a little more about that. But the situation with the housing, it's not a pleasant one. And I'm not really happy to see that on this program, publicly. It's something that I've been struggling with whether or not to, how much I should say publicly about our situation, as to where we are, because I don't know, sometimes people say when you speak out, it's really heartbreaking, Sheila. It's really heartbreaking.
Let me say to the listeners, because I see Chris London in the chat saying he's willing to donate £20 to start. Folks, by the end of the program, any money that we collect tonight will go directly to that family. So if you're donating 5, 10, 15, whether you donate it in the chat or you donate it via the Go to Fet, you can do it either way. You can either donate it in the chat, in the super chat, or you can donate it in the Go to Fet app that we have attached to the YouTube and Facebook pages. You can go there. Anything we collect tonight goes to that family, whether it's 20, 10, and everybody puts something, we're going to donate stuff to that family tonight. So come on, folks.
And the family member who is looking after the gentleman, I mean, he was like almost to tears. Actually, he tried to speak to me on Saturday, and he just choked up. When the emotions, he just choked up, and I said, listen, let's not talk now. Let me come home by you, and we could talk. And it's just hard. It's just really hard for a lot of people, and the real problem, Sheldon, is just that the program, the management, the system of the recovery is significantly flawed. It's really bad. And I mean, I could go into, the stories of what is taking place. And you mentioned a few of persons receiving monies, not doing anything. We have reports of persons, materials. It's just
let me ask you this major one. Also, during her presentation, Senator Gloria Thomas also spoke of the fact that you have some people who say there's contractor and they go to build the house, but they really can't build. So what happens, and I'm paraphrasing again here, I'm not going word for word, but I have the video there, I can play it after. that in effect, sometimes they build a house and the house in itself that they build become a disaster. So some of the build back better houses, they are seriously flawed. Those houses themselves, there are serious flaws with those houses. How do you, have you been picking up that? I know that when we spoke about that last time,
I did heard some reports. I did heard some reports of some of the houses leaking or so, and but I cannot confirm that. Yeah, I'll be honest in that regard. I cannot confirm that. I've heard it, but no homeowner came to me and said, "Look, Cox, my house is leaking." I cannot say that. I've heard that just as how you heard it. But the challenge with some of the persons who lack the experience in terms of doing construction at that level, at that capacity, is one of the main challenges why the big back houses are taking so long. Because it's just not about having the competence of doing construction work. But remember, you have to manage a construction site. You have to manage the materials. You have to manage staff. So that is where the key problem, that's the key issue. A lot of the persons, this is the first time taking a project of that nature, of that size. And that results in some of the projects going on for extended period. Another issue is that initially when they started the Build Back Better, they were paying people day work. And there is no incentive for anybody to work speedily if it's day work. If it's a contract, it's in the interest of the contractor to finish the project as quickly as possible so that he can have savings from that contract agreement. But if it's day work, they are going to drag it on as much as possible, and that has been another key issue of why those houses are taking so long. So, and then the materials again, government is the one that dispensing the materials. So you have to go apply for the material, and then government only have a selected number of service providers, preferred service providers, who they're taking materials from, and it doesn't matter the cost. They're taking from these because it appears that is their people, the supporter. And so if they don't have on stock, then they're waiting until they get. So all that is creating further delays, while you may have other service providers on island who have material, they're not going to take from them until their preferred people get. So those are some of the key issues that has really, as I said, the system, the manner, whatever plan they have for implementing this Build Back Better, it is significantly flawed and it has failed. It has failed miserably, and they need to rework it. Sheldon, a few weeks ago when I was in Parliament, I mean, out of concern and the heaviness in me as a Carriacou, I stand and I call on the government through the president to the leader of government business to ask the Prime Minister to really investigate this program, because the amount of irregularities that are being reported that are taking place within the program, and for persons who have dialogue with, one guy came to me and said, "Cox, I went to a certain area and I hear a man say he submit and he get material, he never had no house, he never had no house, he ain't lose no house, and he submit and he get material." So he say, I went and I submit too. I ain't had no house, I ain't lose, but I hear people getting, so I went and I submit. So those are the irregularities. One other guy came to me and said, "Look, I submit with my name twice, nothing." He said, "I use my second name, which nobody know, and I get." So those are some of the real issues that are affecting the program. It's not properly managed. It's not properly structured. And so we're in a situation where some persons would have received much more than they actually need or deserve, and while other persons are left without. And so the program is a mess. However, we hear now that everything is ceased or closed for investigation or review, or
well, we do
no
hope,
official word.
We do hope it's investigation, because for what you're speaking about there, the audit department, the entire program needs to be audited. But the problem comes about here is that for it to be audited, they may stop the program at a point in time that people really need the program to be open. So it's a kind of a situation that you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, but you should not have been in that situation because it ought to have been done properly in the first place.
Well, unlike what is taking place now, with certain persons responding to certain allegations of wrongdoing, we have heard in Carriacou, money is missing. Money's been missing from the parliamentary office. We have heard that money is missing from the ministry. Money is unaccounted for. But we haven't heard any pushback from those persons who are in question in terms of responsibility for those areas. Make any comments to that regard. They have been very quiet. But it is common knowledge, it is public knowledge that monies cannot be accounted for, and in some cases in the millions. That's what I'm hearing, and we haven't heard any report from the Ministry of Government disputing that is not the case, and that conversation has been populated throughout and proliferated throughout Carriacou and Petit Martinique for months. For months, even through social media. But we haven't heard anyone coming forward saying, no, that is not true. The accounts department, the audit department have gone through the books and everything is in order, no issue. We haven't heard that. So I am really, really getting a strong feeling because of no response, and it's important that we be fair to government. I'm getting a feeling that there might be something in the matter besides the pestle, as to those reports that what we are hearing out in the public domain. So Sheldon, we are at a critical juncture in Carriacou and Petit Martinique, a critical juncture. So just imagine you have 5 houses in Petit Martinique that are currently incomplete. And now we're hearing that the Build Back Better program and the material that are issued for persons in need have all come to a stop. And this is not the time. This is not the right time for that to happen. I mean, it's really unfortunate for it to happen at this point in time. So that is the where we are. That is the situation in Carriacou right now. Everybody is up in arms, trying to get an answer as to what is the next step for Carriacou and Petit Martinique as regarding the recovery for the housing in particular, which is the greatest need for our persons, our people, my people in Carriacou right now. That is the greatest need.
Let me just announce, as we're speaking about accountability and everything here, let me just disclose. So far, let me see, we have 20 pounds. Well, no, 30 pounds. We have one donation of 10 pounds, one donation of what should be 20 US, but it shows up as 19.99. They take their fees. Another 20 pounds from Chris London there. He put 20 per 30. And earlier up, we had Karen with 20 US. One person has messaged me, they're donating a 200 EC. And another person has messaged there, and they are willing to donate as well. They have not said how much, but they know where I live in, so they said they will drop it off. Let me just take this call and see. Hello, caller. You're live. I'm not sure if Senator Cox, were you hearing the phone ringing?
No, I didn't.
Good night.
Are you hearing at all? I have somebody on the line. Are you hearing them?
No.
No, I don't hear any person on the line.
Yes, I'm hearing them.
He's hearing you. Go right ahead.
Good night, Mr. Scott. How are you doing?
I am quite fine. And you?
Well, I just chipping in, so I don't know what is the whole scenario, what you're doing, what you ain't doing. So could you give me a heads up what is going on?
I'm having a conversation with Senator the Honorable Norland Cox. We're speaking about the present situation in Carriacou and Petit Martinique.
Okay, well, maybe I could ask Mr. Cox some question. Mr. Cox, good night.
Good night.
Go right ahead.
Are you hearing me?
He heard you. Go right ahead.
Yes, well, good night. Glad to hear your voice. And I want to know, how is Carriacou doing?
Well,
ask me a question.
We've been discussing that for a while. So go into your questions, please.
Yes, Mr. Cox. Well, I've been hearing so many rumors. I don't know. They say rumors. People say rumors. But I'm hearing so many things about people in Carriacou. Many people on the step and people on the tent. And I understand this government gets so much money. This government is a crook, you know. They're very wicked to poor people, to bring poor people that. I don't know how God will look at these people and him. And these people and him talking about them is with a God-fearing nation. And, you know, and so forth. And yet, people in Carriacou are sketching and. So I'd like you to address that for me because I can't hear you that good because I'm calling on my cell phone. So I will close off and I will listen to you.
All right.
Have a good night, Mr. Cox. And be safe.
All right, my brother. Thank you so very much. Yes, and Senator Cox, there's an opportunity to see if I could take the calls while I have on a guest. So did you hear them clear enough to understand what they were asking?
No, I didn't hear clearly.
Okay, well, we'll sort that out. I have to reroute something.
I think he asked about tents, whether a person living on tents.
He said he was hearing so much about people living under step and so in Carriacou, and to address the situation. But I think that is basically what you were speaking about. And we have another caller. Let's just try it one more time. Hello, good night.
Good night. I finally get the guy from the Nutmeg State.
Nutmeg State. Okay, sir. Go right ahead.
Okay, good. What Mr. Cox mentioned there, I don't know if he could. I'm in New York, so I don't know if he could mention that in his meeting, because I was planning to raise some question, and I wouldn't mind giving a donation in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And that's number one. Number two, as you know, there are some 36 countries that were put on probation by the U.S. for the CBI and visitors to Grenada. However, Grenada was singled out as being omitted from that group.
Mm-hmm.
Have you asked yourself why and what did we agree to? Did we agree to take prisoners? And that's why we were bribed to get $1 million for each prisoner. That's why Grenada was left out. Is that the reason why Grenada, of all the 36 countries, I'm happy for Grenada that they were not put on probation by the US.
Mm-hmm.
But have you asked yourself why, of all the countries, Grenada was singled out? We don't know what. Do you know what plan this guy made with anybody in America? Do anybody know that? Okay, I'm gonna hang up now and turn my volume up.
All right, caller, no problem. Yes, indeed, Senator Cox. I'm not sure how much of that you got. The caller was asking about the U.S. travel ban, the fact that Grenada has not been named as one of the countries, even though we have a CBI program and a pile of Russians under that program and Belarusians, that we have not been named as one of the countries to which the ban applies. And if, therefore, there may have been some underhand deal in relation to taking prisoners, because remember, we were offered take so much prisoners and that sort of thing. So you're just asking if we've wondered about that. But we'll address that one a little later on.
Okay.
We want to kind of keep on Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Not that we're going to ignore it. We're going to come back to that.
Yeah.
But we want to keep on Carriacou and Petit Martinique and what is going on there. And I recognize, folks, we're going to hold on the calls because I recognize Senator Cox isn't hearing the calls clearly as I want him to be able to hear it. So the feedback to get it into his ears, I would have to add an additional line there, and I have not done that. So we'll work on that one. So, Senator Cox, as I said, we have several donations that are coming in there. Outside of that, one person mentioned a while ago that they are willing, well, the same caller mentioned that when they come to that particular event that we're having on the weekend, that they'll do that. And I'd like to encourage those of you who are going to that meeting, if you're interested in donating, just hand it to Senator Cox and say, this is for that. And believe me, it's two people running the South last election. One of them, you could put money in their hand and tell them, bring it for somebody, and they'll go get it. And it's Senator Cox. Right? I could just guarantee you that. You don't say nothing, Senator Cox.
I wanted to raise something. I saw announcements that the NDC is having an excursion to Carriacou on I think sometime on Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, with the date. And I'm very, very, very happy that that is happening. Very happy. And you know why? As I said it before. What people say, you could hide to buy land, but you can't hide to walk it. Because the facts is there. When they come, they will see for themselves what is the situation. They will see for themselves. Yeah, because you cannot get away from the situation that is before us in Carriacou. And everybody who comes to Carriacou when they traverse, they will see. The Media Association was in Carriacou over the weekend. Unfortunately, there was an unfortunate incident with one of the members who had a little accident, and they were unable to visit Pitimatli. I think while the person was trying to board the vessel, they had a little fall or something, so they had to take the individual back to the hospital, so they couldn't come to Pitimatli. But I'm quite certain that they had an opportunity to traverse Carriacou, and I trust that they will do justice as to what has been completed in comparison to what is incomplete. And that is what is facing us. And I must say something to Sheldon, that I really take my hats off to our residents, my people, Carriacouans, who have braced the recovery for themselves, with support from their family or friends or whatever, and use their own resources to get their roof back on. Some of them were promised that they should put on the roof and they'll get back their money. I know that because some of them came to me and said, a lot of those were like the returnees. They indicated that they were given assurances from the principal person in Carriacou that once you go ahead and repair a roof, and you will get back your monies. And they believe that was going to happen, but that has not happened. And it appears that will not happen. So that is some of the issues that has happened. But as I said, going back to the excursion, I'm really happy that they're coming to Carriacou to see for themselves. Yeah, I'm really happy.
Indeed. And folks, we're speaking here with Senator the Honorable Norland Cox. I'm trying to deal with a situation here while I deal with that. Yeah, Senator the Honorable Norland Cox. And again, remember this weekend, Senator Cox, it's Saturday or Sunday. I think I keep telling people Sunday, and it's Saturday, is it? Is the
Saturday, the 21st.
Yes, event that's taking place there in New York. And for those of you that haven't got your tickets yet, get your tickets and get on out. Senator the Honorable Norland Cox will be there. Former Prime Minister Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell will be there, and the lady herself, yes, the Honorable Emmeline Pear, will be there, political leader of the New National Party. And I ain't putting no Prime Minister in waiting, no. She ain't waiting. She coming for it. Right? So they like to say Prime Minister in waiting too much.
I want to add, Sheldon, that you know that I've been doing my series of engagements called Meet the Caretaker. You know, we have an intimate opportunity to sit down intimately with residents and to have a discussion, you know, and ask questions and to be engaged as to the way forward, what issues they might be experiencing, what plans they might have, things that they would want to see, and for me to also share some of my plans for Carriacou and Pitimatli. I'm hoping that can get an opportunity to have such an event over in New York whenever I get there safely. So I'll let you know more about that. If we do get an opportunity, we're going to have a Meet the Caretaker series in the diaspora. It's a great opportunity to engage and to meet and to have discussions. And you know, those discussions are not about politics. about discussions about the development of Carriacou and Petit Matlick and the way forward. And that's what is unique about those discussions. And that's one of the things that I really like about it. But Sheldon, before I leave, I must touch on a critical issue. We talk about the issue of the recovery and how poor the planning and the execution. And I must speak about the cleanup because that's where a significant chunk of the funds have gone towards the cleanup. And as I said in Parliament, as I said publicly everywhere, yes, a good job has been done in terms of cleaning up the communities and the village. And that is, we must commend the persons who worked on that. However, Sheldon, where the real issue, and I think what is, to find a word to describe it, is where the real comment lies, is the moving of the debris that was collected. So we have a situation where all the playing fields, save and except the Lauriston playing field, mini stadium, was not, all the others was used as official dump sites. So debris was taken up from the villages, roadside, person's home, in the forest, in the ocean, and was dumped at those respective playing fields. So contractors were paid monies for dumping the debris there. Contractors were then paid a second time to move the debris from Dover, Mount Pleasant in particular, and dumped in Hillsborough. Contractors were then paid, I think even right after I spoke at the budget debate, when I indicated that there is this talk about 90% this and 90% that, I indicated that 90% of all the debris is still on island. They paid contractors to move all the debris from the Hillsborough playing field and dump it in the Harveyville playing field. You follow me, Sheldon?
Mm-hmm. So you basically just pick it up one spot and drop it the next one and pick it up from there.
From the roadside to the playing field, from the playing field to another playing field, from Hillsborough now to Harveyville. To my, I mean, I couldn't believe when I saw that the debris was now taken from Harveyville and dumped in the sanitary landfill. If this is not gross negligence,
just been brought there from the beginning. Because
I mean,
you
there
have
is
to pay the trucking. Each instance you've spoken about there, you have to pay trucking.
There's ample land in Dumfries, even opposite the landfill, where if the debris need to be sorted, they could have put them there to sort them out and then just use a machine to take them over to the landfill. And so, I mean, that is gross negligence. I mean, that is wastage. I mean, I mean, saving. I think that is almost criminal, in my mind.
Well, the question,
I think so.
The question I think that would be in the minds of the listeners that just heard you speak of that issue. It would be interesting to note who are the people that are getting the contract to shift this around, because you basically pick up all in an area, then you drop it in one centralized area, move it from there to a next centralized area, move it from there to another area, and then bring it to the place it should have gone from the beginning.
No, well, that is just the first part of the issue. What we are hearing is that because of poor supervision and monitoring of the trucking, the trips have been inflated, in some cases by 100%. So if a guy makes 5 trips, he bring an invoice for 10 because nobody monitoring, nobody checking. And so a lot of the monies have been spent because of poor management, poor monitoring, And now you have a situation where there is still garbage on the island. As recent as yesterday, they have a playing field, still have debris in it. As recent as yesterday. As recent as this morning. So all the garbage has not come off the island as yet, and we're coming up onto a year. I know that the solid waste have been cubing, crushing some of the stuff and cubing them, and they're taking them to, that's the zinc sheets, they're taking them to the mainland. But there's still a lot of other debris there. They have moved out the majority of it, but there's still debris there. And we are basically 1 year. And so millions of dollars have been spent on all the garbage. There's still garbage on island. So the majority has been removed to the landfill, but there's still garbage in the playing field. And that is the facts.
But,
Those
but
are the facts.
that's not what we are being told down on the mainland. That is not what we've been told. We've been given the impression that Carriacou has been rebuilt, and Carriacou is way better off than the other Grenadine islands. And it's like, yeah, it's like they now have streets paved with gold and everything is back to normal in Carriacou. And meanwhile, I'm speaking to her mother last week, and she's living in a tent. Her house was destroyed, but you know how it did it in some instances. It take the house but leave the flooring. So the flooring is there. She builds up this little thing on the flooring and puts two of the children inside, well, three of the children inside there. Then she and her other half and the smallest child, they're staying in a tent in the yard. And these people trying to get material and they can't get material. These are the situations that we're seeing happening in Carriacou and Petit Martinique right now. And yeah, go up. You want to visit? Go up, visit. We like that. Take an excursion, go up and see. Because the reality, as you're saying, you could buy land in the night, but you can't walk it in the dark. You have to walk it in the light. Yeah, but I mean,
yeah, you could hide to buy land, but you can't hide to walk it.
Yeah.
You know. So I Sheldon, I mean, personally for me, you know, sometimes when I lie on my bed in my quiet time, I really reflect on the plight of persons, you know, and on top of that, you know, you have you know, this arrogance and this disrespect that's been meted out to persons. You know, I mean, no empathy. You know, I'm sure that it's a really, really sad situation for us. And I mean, I've been doing as much as I can. Just this morning, yesterday, a young lady reached out to me from New York to see how, through our initiative where we helping persons to build back, you know, we call it Hands on Hope, you know, Rebuild Community Initiative, to see how we can help our dad get his house back up. And up this morning we had some conversation and to discuss how we go about getting it done, because one of the things I've been doing, we calling on persons in the respective communities, if they could carve out like a 1 day in the week or in the weekend, you know, to go and help somebody, help them build back. Because that is only how good, we really need to come together. We really need to team up and to tackle this thing together and to really help people, because it's really, I mean, it's a tough situation. You know, I have friends who every time I read makeup, you know, they have their way of trying to pacify the challenge. You know, that, you know, I'll call and say, listen, I heard the weather forecast saying, you know, rain is sort of checking on you, because I know any drizzle, you have to go and sweep water and you're getting wet, you know. So let us reach out to various persons, you know, and to see how they're doing, how they're coping, because it is not an easy time. It is not an easy time for my people in Carriacou and Petit Martinique right now. It's not an easy time, sure, it's not. And some persons, they're not speaking out for one reason or the other. but I believe that from where I sit, I have a responsibility to speak. I mean, I know that persons, when I speak, persons have attacked me personally. And, some of the comments, I smile at them. I smile at some of the comments with personal attacks because, they don't live in Carriacou. They're not experiencing what our people, or my people are experiencing. They're not. And so there is no reason for me to expend any energy to be angry about those personal attacks, because those personal attacks in no way, shape, or form are characterized by who I am or what I have done or what I represent for Carriacou and Petit Matlick. People know me. I've lived in Carriacou and Petit Matlick all my life, so there is nothing for me to hide. I'm an open book, and so people know me. So persons who on social media who hide behind the screen and make all kind of remarks and comments, I'm never disturbed about it, because the situation that we face right now, I think that is where my energies need to be focused, and not on somebody trying to score some digital points by making remarks or calling me some name or something of the sort. So
I'll
for those persons that calling you,
I just banned one from.
Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense you do that because I have enough important things that will draw my attention, that will take my time in terms of helping people in Carriacou and Petit Matlick. Sheldon, I mean, this is what I do. This is who I've been. That is the story of my life. Everywhere I've walked, I mean, even in Grenada here, the south, you just go and ask people. Just ask anybody about Norland Cox. Ask anybody who has had an opportunity to interact with me or have an experience to walk along with me. Just ask anybody about who I am and what I've been able to do, to help people. And I'm very proud about that. Very, very proud about that. And my family, my kids, my wife, may God rest her soul in perfect peace. I think that's one of the things that she had loved about me, the way how I reach out to people. So she used to always say to me, you can't hold no business, you can't hold no business because you will give away all I have. Funny enough, both she and I, before a few weeks before she passed, she was able to cut the ribbon to our business that we opened, which was one of the things that she loved. She poured her heart and into, and so and if you come into our business, I say our business because it's a family business. If you come into our business any day, you will see a portrait of her on the wall, because that was her dream, and we as a family, we were so happy that she was able she mustered up some strength that day to actually come to make sure she cut the ribbon, and those are some of the moments that we as a family, we're not going to forget. We're going to cherish. We miss her, we love her dearly, and she has been a great part of who I am. So I don't talk about her often in public, but it's just it's
I understand, brother. I understand,
yeah,
especially at times like these.
Yeah, so I mean, I say it because I know who I am, and I'm very comfortable in who I am, and I know that I'll be great for Carriacou. I've done great things for Carriacou, and if once given an opportunity, they will have my undivided attention, and I know that I will represent them, in an outstanding way. I'm certain about that, without a shadow of a doubt, and that's the reason why I am I've made myself, available at this point in time to serve, as a single parent now, Sheila, it's you know as a single parent how difficult it is. You have to get them check out the uniform.
No, the little one just come and
that,
call me,
yeah.
He just come and
It
call me.
was, but I mean, I love my kids dearly, and right now I've made a decision to devote a significant portion of my time to them, but I feel very compelled to serve Carriacou and Pitimatnik at this point in time, and hence the reason why I've asked and going to ask for their support, that and let them know that I'm not going to let them down. I'm not going to let them down. Indeed. Certainly, yeah.
Indeed. And Senator Cox, I think that's one of the things that people admire about you, your humility, and the fact that you're always willing to go that extra mile for anybody. It doesn't matter who. You could be the biggest NDC on the island of Carriacou, and Carriacou people will tell you that. And you approach Norland Cox to do something for you, he's going to do it. The same way that he would do it for somebody else. And the way that you have approached the entire Hurricane Beryl situation and the various initiatives that you have taken from since Hurricane Beryl to now, from the soup kitchen and so on, in the early part, and all the other initiatives that were taken then, and the work that you continue to do. I see you out on farm helping farmers build back the jupa and so that they could start producing food in a proper manner. I've seen you out there helping people with a team put back up their structures and so on. So realize that you're out there and you're trying to help as much as possible in various ways that you can. Some you talk about, some you don't talk about. And I know of some you're not talking about. And to see the initiatives that you have been doing, and to wonder, had you been the MP of Carriacou and Pitimatnik at this point in time, how much different things would have definitely been in Carriacou. Instead of dealing arrogant and telling people, all you getting paid, go in the supermarket and those kind of things, but making sure that everyone was treated fairly and equally, and we tried to rebuild Carriacou and Pitimatnik, not for one group of people, but together. And I think many people admire that about you.
I think there's a great missed opportunity, and that's one of the things that I've indicated, that we could have done it better, we could have done it differently. I mean, one of the biggest weaknesses, we don't have a physical number as to how many houses or many homes that have sustained damages. Up to this day, not even NADMA could have said that we had 20 houses, 50 houses, 1,000 houses damaging Carriacou. I've never heard that number. Up to this day, I've never heard that number. And even in Parliament, I've asked, and we haven't heard it. The assessment was not done properly. Everything was done in haste. And, at some point, there was one time I used an analogy as to when you purchase a new appliance and you get a manual. You could rush to assemble the appliance without reading the manual. And then when you get stuck, you're going back to the manual now to see where you go wrong. when you could take half an hour, read the manual, and you assemble the unit in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. So it's something similar to that what went on. They have not followed the script in terms of disaster recovery. Hence the reason why we're in the mess where we are right now. A lot of things cannot be accounted for. And I mean, it's just total loss of control of where we are. Yeah.
A question has come to mind in relation to the fishermen. We know that the fishing industry plays a significant part of the lives of the people, in particular of Pitimatnik, those over in Windward and on that side. I know they recently opened, I think they opened a fish market. We give them that they open a fish market. And we give them that they open a fish market, we give them that.
Well, let me say there was always a fish market. That fish market was built, I believe, by the Honorable Nicholas Braffett, late Nicholas Braffett. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he built that, I think, some time back. And make God rest his soul. He built that, and so at that time, the integrity of the structure was somewhat compromised. So they demolished it and they built a new facility. So, I mean, that is welcome.
It's not an initiative that they decide, well, no, they need a fish market and we build one.
No. There was always a fish market there, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they're rebuilding a new one. Yeah. And they put in ice plant and storage. So the facilities are much better than what was there before. I think it's probably larger than the one in Hillsborough, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's larger.
For the fishing industry in general, what is taking place? Because I know there was a situation where some fishermen got payments, but others did not get. What is the situation when it comes to fishermen in Carriacou, in Petit Martinique, and the payments that were supposed to be made?
Well, that is still a vexing issue. They were promised, not just fishermen, but farmers as well. It's still a vexing issue. I know that they were promised that after the budget have been approved, the 2025 budget, that those payments were going to be made. To date, those payments have not been made. Persons were asked again for their credentials, their bank account, and all sorts of stuff. But no payments to date have been made.
So you're saying up to today, the 17th of June, the burial support program closes at the end of July. Up to now, these people still haven't gotten their payments?
Yes, some of the fishermen, I just want to make it clear, some of the fishermen and some of the farmers got. But there is a significant portion, in excess of 50 persons have not received support, and largely out of that 50 is Petit Martiniquans, yes.
And fishing is the main industry for Petit. What are they doing to these Petit Martiniquans? One, the fishing industry has been seriously impacted by this. Even if you're one of the folks that know to use the marine traffic thing, you know where the Petit Martinican boats go out in the ocean and where they gather to go for the tuna and so on. And since Hurricane Barely realized the number of vessels out there has dropped significantly, the Petit Martinican boats, it has dropped significantly. So already you have them not being able to do what brings in money for them, and then you don't assist them to at least put back up a home and so. And the funds that should be available for them to go and do the fishing, you're not giving it to them. I mean, why are they doing this to the people of Petit Martinique? What great sin have they committed?
Well, I have concluded, based on where we are now, Petit Martinique has already received the worst of this recovery process. Unfortunately so, they already have received the worst. But I must commend them. They have remained resilient. And I was there. They had a wonderful Father's Day session in Petit Martinique on Sunday. They're playing dominoes, and the camaraderie, people come together despite the challenges. And so they are trying to find ways for the community to thrive. But they really need help. They need help.
You get a fish egg when you was up there? You get some fish egg?
No.
They bought on a fish egg.
No. No, I didn't get it. Yeah.
But again, to our brothers and sisters in Petit Martinique, yes, in Carriacou, we love you too, but Petit Martinique in particular, we do care. We remain concerned about what is taking place. We will do what we can do to make sure that you receive the assistance you can receive. And, well, I think to say it's a timely manner right now. We passed that stage a long time ago, say a timely manner. I could remember after Hurricane Ivan in 2004, Senator, that come 2005, you had houses building. 2006, you had houses building. 2007 into 2008, when the new National Party lost the general election, you had houses being built for people who were affected during the hurricane. Even though you had the closure of the Agency for Rural Transformation, because some people, maybe too young to remember, they think Build Back Better is a terminology that was coined by the NDC. That was coined back in 2004 under the NNP administration with the Build Back Better after Hurricane Ivan. So you had that taking place. Now to say that after 13 months, you will close the burial support program, I think is unfair to the people who are still suffering the consequences in Carriacou, Petit Martinique, and those in Grenada. It is unfair to them. farmers and fishermen who have not received their payments, people who are waiting for their houses, whether prefab or build back better, and hopefully they get a contractor that does a proper job. So when they bathe, the water from the bathroom don't end up in the bedrooms. So hopefully they get contractors that them think, or when rain fall, they don't have to decide which part of the house they go in and stand up because it's leaking all over like a strainer. So we are hoping that the government does reconsider and extends the program to assist the people of Carriacou, and maybe the Brooks, so they can extend it. Maybe that's the situation.
Well, there might be a possibility, there might be cash flow issues, so we're looking. I mean, we have learned that in terms of revenue for the same period last year, for the first quarter between January to I think May or April, there has been a significant shortfall in terms of revenues collected by government. So that may have impacted the program and the capacity to support persons going forward. But should I really want to hone in on the issue, that it is very easy for persons to say things, and to claim that everything is all fine and dandy. But Angela, I have said it previously, even in Parliament I've said it. We are rooting for the government to be successful. Because if they fail, the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique are going to be impacted negatively. And those words, it's there, it's in the hands, it's registered, the record is there. We want them to succeed. But I've signaled early the manner, the program, the system in which they have chosen to use for the recovery will not work. And we are seeing today the challenges that the program is having. Share some of the things I honestly, as a Carriacouan, I would even be embarrassed to say, some of the stories that are coming from what is taking place.
Tell me off air and I go come and say it. I'm afraid to say it.
Yeah,
well,
but
not afraid, ashamed to say it. I go say it.
It's not good. It's really not good.
Oh, but
it's not.
Cox, it's actually 10 o'clock. We're talking and we realize the time for the program has come. But
you always do that to me. You always trick me to stay on longer than time than I'm supposed to. So I'm not surprised.
let me say this though. I could bet you, and I know you're not a gambler, but I could bet you anything right now that seeing that you have been on this program tonight, I could tell you who is going to be the guest on GBN tomorrow morning on the morning program. I could bet you the present MP for Carriacou and Petit Martinique is going to go there to try and counteract everything that you have said tonight. That's what he does do. I could bet you any dollar. Has he apologized to your mom though?
You talk about another program. But the answer is no. I think that will be a great opportunity for him to go and explain to, or give some update to the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique as to either to confirm that yes, the hardware stores are not issuing any material now, or to say, well, yes, that the Build Back Better program is on hold for assessment, whatever the case may be, and to say when the program is going to recommence, to give the people who are deserving and waiting and those support some hope, and not for them to be in despair that that's it. So I think it's an excellent opportunity for him to go on tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much to respond to me, because what I have said it's there, it can be verified. I don't traffic in misinformation and lies. I don't traffic in that. I don't. As a recent press conference that I had up with some of, you know, so I don't traffic. I don't traffic in those things because I believe that as a public figure, the truth bears consistency, the truth bears sustainability, and the truth can always be repeated at any time. And so the truth of where we are is that about 12 homes have been completed and handed over. If I miss the mark, maybe by one or two. In Petit Martinique, there are no Build Back Better houses. There are no prefab houses issued by government. There are no Build Back Better houses completed or handover. There are 5 that I know that are under construction. If I miss the mark by 1 or 2, yeah, Sheldon, I'm being very honest. Yeah, that is the situation. There are workers on the Build Back Better houses that have not received payments for several fortnights. And if I'm lying, I challenge them to say otherwise. But I'm giving first-hand reports from workers and contractors who have called and said, look, I had to stop because I'm not receiving any payments. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's common throughout. And I know that some work is continuing and some of them, but I said, but persons are personally funding it. Correct? And I can go on and on. Even the moving of the garbage, Carriacouans can attest that garbage was moved from Dover to his borrowed to Haverville, and from Haverville to Dumfries. So I don't traffic in misinformation. If I'm not certain about something, I would probably say, look, I stand corrected. Yeah? I don't have no reason to traffic in misinformation. I don't have no reason. I wouldn't come and say that, shall I give you material? And I never give you material. I wouldn't do that, as some person would have done. Yeah? So I'm saying this because oftentimes, there are persons who believed that because you're in opposition, you're just trying to slander the government or you're just trying to run and that is not the case. We're talking about issues that are affecting Carriacouans and Petit Martiniquans. This is not politics. These are issues, core-issues that are affecting people's situation, their livelihoods, their children, their families. That is what is actually happening. That is what we're speaking about. And so, I just want to really end on that note and to hone in that persons can call their family members to say that I'm telling their persons living in tents. You can send people to verify. I could send pictures to show that there are persons living in tents. There are several houses under tarpaulin. Yeah? And I'm not making the point to say that we expected all the houses to be repaired after 1 year. That is not the case. What we are saying is that the program has not been effective. It has not been effective. There's more wastage, there's more misappropriation, there is more corruption with that program than anything else. And that is the issue before us.
Indeed.
And that is the reason why the results have not been what it's supposed to be, because it has not been properly managed. It has been poorly managed and monitored. And that is the fact. Mm-hmm. That is the fact.
Senator Cox, we are way over our time tonight. Just like to thank you so very much for being with us tonight. And any final comments for folks? We know you want to invite everybody to come out and meet you on the weekend. Saturday, you'll be out there at the NNP function. I know you want to invite everybody to come out there and meet you. And if you don't say goodnight to the Southside people, you know what will happen with you. So
we started my people in the South. You know, I've really have a fond attachment to residents in the South. You know, even persons who have not voted for me. You know, it's one of the communities that I will always remember. It's one of the communities. If given an opportunity, you know, would have really done some great things there. I mean, I had some wonderful plans for the South, real wonderful plans. But it was not meant to be. And you know, sometimes, you know, the Almighty take you through certain journeys, and you can't question Him. You know, you just have to continue to have that faith and believe in His revelation and the path that He takes you on. And so I have no regrets in terms of having an opportunity to engage, to work, to live among the people of South St. George. They have and will always be a special part of my political journey. And so I deeply share that love and endure for them. And who knows? You never know. There might just be an opportunity. You never know. So with full circle, I might find myself back there. I don't know.
No. We need you in Carriacou. But here's what.
No, I'm just saying it, you know.
You will be able to help the people of South St. George in your future ministerial portfolio.
The Carriacou Pidimadic has a special place. I mean, that is where I'm from. That is where, let's say, your neighbor Stringberry. And I mean, I've always think about Carriacou, even while being on the mainland. I've always do what I can for Carriacou. I would always do so. It's you know, as a Carriacouan, you understand what it means to be a Carriacouan, and how you feel about, you know, your people, and it's something that in some words can't really describe that feeling, but your actions, you know, can define that. You know, I've always been a selfless person regarding Carriacou, and I continue to do that, and it's a place that I'm pretty much I love dearly. I've done so much things there, you know, for Carriacou and pretty much, and as I said, I would love for an opportunity to really represent them, you know, at that level. We have a great opportunity ahead, you know. I know that. But I said I would not disappoint, you know, with the health and strength of the Almighty. I would not disappoint, because we have a way that we work with people to get results, to get things done, you know, not to back at people and talk them to people and make you feel because you have a position, you know, people are lesser than you as to what some of my people have been subjected to now. I mean, that's one of the things that detests me, to see and to hear some of the things that are happening. You know, no. I cannot.
That's not us as Carriacou people.
No, that is not becoming as a Carriacouan. I cannot sit by and just let somebody do that to my people. I have to step in. I have to step in, and we have to fix this. We have to change this. We can't continue like that. We cannot. With that, I mean, that's utter disrespect. Sheldon, no. Carriacouans deserve better. And I'll just end on that note. We deserve much better than what we're getting right now. And of course, there's better in Norland Cox. They have always been better in Norland Cox. Yeah.
Indeed.
So I will leave it right there. Because we could go out for, we could talk more. So I don't want to go in.
Next thing we find ourselves here after 11. Senator Cox, we'd like to
It's a pleasure to be on. Always a pleasure to be on. Yeah, and I just want to thank you for your program, for giving me an opportunity to be in this space to share issues, what are taking place with our people, taking place with not just in Grenada and the main as a whole, but Carriacou and Petit Martinique, who are considered as my people, who as part of my community, we have born and grew up, so not living out the Midland in any way, but just to define that, that having that close knit with our people, we deserve better representation. And I would love an opportunity to set a resounding example of what representation is all about, how you treat people who have given you an opportunity to represent them, and not the other way around. So, but we'll have enough time to speak more on that.
Our next conversation. Because every month I like to bring you in at least once a month, because it gives people, if they look back at all the programs between July of last year and now, it gives a good indication of where Carriacou is at after a month, after 2 months, after 3 months, coming up to a year. Each month they can check and they can see you speaking on different issues, making suggestions, saying what you're seeing happening and so on. So over a year, they have a compact list now. They can look at that and say, Senator Cox has been speaking on behalf of the people of Carriacou and Petit Martinique. And we thank you so very much, sir. On behalf of myself and my Carriacou family, we thank you so very much.
It's a pleasure to be on, and say good night to persons who have been viewing and listening. It's a pleasure to at least to participate, and persons who have called in, who have commented, I really appreciate it, and persons who have donated to that family, that we really, really appreciate. If I could have found a way to right now to raise $100 million for Carriacou, things would have been much better. Trust me.
Somebody might be listening, and might Tanya check on you reaching the States.
We will divert that to source to ensure that persons get the help, and not what we hear in that persons have been using those monies for their own personal gain and so. But as I say, we'll get to those.
Yes, indeed.
Tonight is not for that. Tonight is just to deal with the people's issue, what is affecting them, and to see how we can help whatever way possible with limited resources that we have.
And I think another donation just came in again from the UK, Chris London again, with another £10. So yes, indeed.
Really appreciate it.
Senator Cox, we're going to put everything together, and indeed we're going to get that to you. And together with some of those who are saying they would meet you in the States, we'll put it together so you can make that donation.
Saturday, please, hopefully, once I get to New York safely, with God's blessing, I look forward to engaging with constituents in the diaspora. Really look forward to that opportunity for us to have a chit chat. And as I said, I just deal with it, the facts as they are.
Of course. Yeah? Senator Cox, once again, thank you. I'm going to play a song now for the rubbish situation where they're moving rubbish from one location to the other. I'm going to end my program with a song specific for that tonight. Yeah, I'm going to end with a song specific to that tonight. So, Senator Cox, safe journeys on your trip to the U.S. And indeed, we wish you all the success and blessings in all your endeavors. Thank you so very much.
Yeah. All right. Take care. Have a good night.
Yes, indeed. Yes, folks, we were speaking there with Senator the Honorable Norland Cox, and he was giving us quite a bit of information in relation to what is going on in Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Yeah? And folks, that's all the time we have for Talking Points tonight. It's been wonderful being here with you. Everything you say and do it safe and secure. Want to be speaking to and with you and not about you. And due to the rubbish situation, I think we might start to call Pinky rubbish. I know, let me see. Yeah, I have a song for him, man.